Welcome, delegates. Very good afternoon to one and all. We have the afternoon session with Mr. V. Ashwatha ramaiah. To say a brief resume about him, he is the head of Unique Consultants, Bangalore. He has 20 years of experience. He is an executive at MS Vidya India Limited, Bangalore. In 1992, he has set up a management consultancy known as Unique Consultants. He has conducted training for more than 4 lakh employees, frequently conducts training for delegates, professionals in Dubai, Hong Kong, Muscat, Qatar, Sharjah, and Kuwait. He has subjects of training related to industry, HR interventions, communication skills, and presentation skills. He has conducted training and management with management associations like CII, FKCCI, NIPM, Red City, Bangalore, and Management Association. He has written books and CDs and other books like A Celebration Called Life, Redefining Husband-Wife Relationship, Success Through English Alphabets, Great Personalities, etc. He has released audio and CDs on stress management, Spice Your Life with Your Spouse, Husband and Wife Relationship, and Formula for Success for Students. And he has produced a video film titled Parivartane. I request all the delegates to go through his presentation and have a wonderful time. And this session is a mandatory session by AICTE. Hope it will rejuvenate yourself in your workplace. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to make a presentation on the topic of life skills, that is stress management and yoga. Life skills are a set of skills which are predominantly human oriented. Generally, to be very successful, we need two types of skills. One is the technical or the domain specific skills.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Just interrupt. We need Naveen sir to upload the slide again. It's not in the loop.
Oh, Mr. Naveen?
Yes. He has to share a slide.
I'll do it, sir. I'll do it now.
I'm not visible here.
Yeah.
Fine, sir.
Fine, sir.
You can go ahead.
You can go ahead. Okay. 1 second. Now you can take out the slide, no?
You can proceed, sir.
Yeah. 1 second. My video is not coming here. That's why I'm just wondering.
We are able to see you, sir. But require slides for your presentation?
No, I'm not able to see. There is some.
We can see you, sir, but we are not able to see your slides.
I'm not able to see. Let me see. 1 second. Yeah, no, it's okay. Shall I continue?
Do you require the slides, sir, for the presentation?
No, not now.
Okay, because we are not able to see the slides.
When it's required, I'll put it, madam.
Okay, sir. Right. Thank you. Fine.
Sure. So basically the topic is on stress management and yoga. Initially we'll be talking on stress management and then on yoga. Now, generally the stress has been defined in about 3-4 ways. One is whenever a person's body and mind exceeds the threshold level, we are under stress. Anything has got a threshold level. All of us do understand that. There is a limit to which one can withstand the pressure or tension or load. So if we are making our body and our mind to undergo more than the threshold level, the pressure or tension, we are said to be under stress. Clinically, stress can also be explained as the stimulation of sympathetic branch of nervous system at the cost of parasympathetic nervous system. In fact, our central nervous system gets branched out into two. Sympathetic nervous system, which is called as a fight or flight system, and there is a relaxing system called as parasympathetic nervous system. So if we continuously stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, but we don't relax it commensurately or equitably from the parasympathetic nervous system, we are said to be under stress. Now, against the common belief that stress means always bad. See, the moment we say there is a lot of stress in this work, it is normally used in a very negative connotation that there is something wrong, there is some anxiety, there is some uncertainty, there is some unpleasantness or irritation, etc. But contrary to this belief, certain amount of stress is very much needed for our life. In fact, if there was no stress, the life wouldn't have been so beautiful or enjoyable. Certain degree of stress is very much needed, which of course is called as eustress, a good stress which is needed. But unfortunately, as we increase the stress levels beyond a particular limit, which is very, very subjective or characteristic of the human being, then the sense of well-being or the health or the performance or the optimism starts deteriorating. So which means if we can put a graph, as the stress increases, our performance, health and sense of well-being increases to a certain extent till it reaches a point after which it starts deteriorating. So we should ensure that we stress ourselves to that extent which is needed, but afterwards we should be very cautious that we don't stress our body or mind. So that stress is called as distress. It is something I always give an example of a violin. Suppose we take a violin and the strings of the violin is very loose and you want to play violin, you cannot get good music because the strings are very loose. Similarly, if the stress levels are very less in our life, life is not beautiful and life is not enjoyable. But at the same time, in a violin, if the strings are too tight, almost to the brim, and you want to play the violin in that violin, you want to play music in that violin, the strings will break. So beyond a limit, if we stress, there may be burnt out or breakdown. Then when will we get the most melodious music from the violin? When it is optimally stressed, neither more nor less. Similarly, we need to get ourselves stressed to an optimum level to get the best of our capabilities, our competencies, our sense of well-being, our performance, and our health. Stress can also be defined another way. It can be explained as the difference between the expectation and the reality. Imagine the expectation is here and the reality is here lower. The difference can be told as stress, which only means if we get in our life whatever we expect, theoretically speaking, there should be no stress. Then the lines will be like this instead of being like this. So it's very obvious if we have to reduce our stress levels, we can do it in two ways. One, either we can increase the reality, which means we can become more competent, enhance our professional skills, our capabilities, our endurance, whatever. Or the other way is, if we cannot increase our capabilities by any chance, the other way of reducing the quantum of stress is to reduce our expectations, which may not always be welcome, of course, because that may make us inefficient, that may make us callous, nonchalant, and take it easy. So, one way of managing the stress is either to increase our capability to manage the stress or lower or reduce our expectations. Now, the stress can be physical and also mental. In fact, our mind and body are the manifestations of the same entity. When the mind gets affected, it will precipitate into many physical disorders, which is called as psychosomatic. Psycho means mind, soma is body. So mind influences the body. Like now doctors and many other professionals are telling, many of the diseases are not really because of the problem in the body, but it is the percolation of the disturbance of the mind into the body. This is called psychosomatic principle. Now the reverse of this is also true. If the body is not immune, capable, enduring, then definitely the mind also gets depressed, anxious, sad. This is called a somopsychic principle, where the body influences the mind. So both type of stresses are possible. For example, when we get angry in our mind, but the blood pressure increases and blood pressure is in the body. So an anger in the mind increases the blood pressure in the body. This is a psychosomatic principle. But at the same time, suppose you take a very good head bath, cold water or whatever, hot water, whichever you like. You are taking bath to the body, but you will find immediately after taking bath, at least for a few minutes, you feel mentally a little relaxed and calm. The bath was taken for the body, but the mind became a little relaxed. This is where the body influenced the mind, which is called a somopsychic principle. So it is very obvious, if we have to reduce our stress, there are two ways of doing it. One, increase the capability of the body and make your mind to become very tranquil. In fact, that is the major reason why stresses are getting developed. If we take our ancestors, you will find that because there were no gadgets available at that time, they were doing most of the activities, household activities, other chores, routines, etc., by using the body manually. Therefore, the body used to get sufficient exercise. But unfortunately, because there is not so much of competition or so much of what I should say, zeal to achieve something great, the mind might not be extremely active, although it was active to some extent. Which means at that time, possibly, the body was hyper and the mind was a little hypo. Now, in the present days, exactly the reverse has taken place. Many times the body is very sedentary. People don't do exercise or yoga or gym or whatever it is. So the body is hypo. The metabolism is not okay. The resistance power is not right. But unfortunately, the mind is extremely active. People want to achieve a lot of things, want to make money, want to be in the right race, achieve as much as possible in the minimum possible time, overthinking, thinking on the same thing too many times or thinking on too many things at the same time. So right now what has happened is the body is hypo, but the mind is hyper. So what is the solution? Very simple. Stimulate your body, tranquilize your mind so that both of them operate in the same frequency so that the stresses get managed. That is why typically any stress management program will contain two branches. One is to stimulate the body, the other is to tranquilize the mind. This is one way of looking at stress. So let me repeat. The stress happens because when we force our body and mind to exceed the threshold level. It can also be explained as the stimulation of the sympathetic part of our nervous system and not commensurate activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Stress can also be defined as the difference between the expectation and the reality. It can also be defined as a syndrome in which the body is sedentary and the mind is hyperactive. So this is the general interpretation of stress. There is another interpretation. This is based on the two halves of the brain. Many of us are aware we have got a left brain, we have got a right brain. The left brain is responsible for science, technology, data, statistics, derivations, quality, the materialistic science, for example, the structured way of thinking, the agenda-based discussions. All these things are a part of the left brain. The right brain is responsible for emotions, our feelings, creativity, values of life. These are the things which are there in the right brain. When these two brains are not properly balanced, in the sense, we do not know which brain to use under which situation, stresses will get developed. So therefore, we need to stimulate both parts of the brain equitably, may not be equally, and use that part of the brain which is demanded by the situation. Then you will not be under stress. Let me quote an example. For example, let us say that right now I am talking to you, there is a laptop, and let us say laptop crashes. And due to some reason, it has stopped. So now I need to stimulate my left brain to think logically. Why did it happen? Was there a battery problem? Is there a virus? Is there a technical issue? So I need to think logically from the left brain. Suppose on the other hand, I feel very guilty about it. I feel very sad or bad about it. I feel very much irritated because of that. Because I'm using the right brain, I'm under stress. Same thing happens when we are required to use the right brain, when we use left brain also, stresses will get developed. Suppose you are going to see one of your friend who is in a serious condition in a hospital. You are supposed to look at him with a lot of empathy, with helping attitude, sympathy, or whatever. Suppose at that time you become a little commercial oriented and try to think what is in it for me. By stimulating the left brain, we are under stress. So these are the various nuances of the stress. And before I get on to the topic of management of stress, let me put some slides to authenticate whatever I have told till now. Then you can start putting the slides. I will also suggest let us make the program very interactive. So any doubts, any clarifications you want, put a question in the chat box, and Mr. Naveen or someone there will tell me, and I'll try to answer to the best of my capability. So as I told, stress is the result of a person being pushed beyond the limits of his natural capacity. It is also the non-specific response of body or mind to any demand made on that. It is also the arousal of the sympathetic branch of our nervous system. Next. As I told, the mind influences the body, which is called psychosomatic, and the body influences the mind, somopsychic. So the body and mind should be synchronized to ensure the stresses are kept at the barest minimum. Next. As I told you, the example of if the violin strings are very loose, you cannot practice good music. So very less stress makes our life lackluster and no enthusiasm. Similarly, if the violin strings are very tight, also we can't get music. Like that, if we make our stresses to go beyond a limit, we will break down. If the violin strings are optimally stressed, tight, then we get the melodious music. So we need to optimally stress ourselves. Next. This is what the right brain and left brain syndrome which I was talking. The left brain is responsible for thinking, intelligence quotient, technical skills, analysis, logical data and statistics, science, management, science-oriented, success-oriented, commercial sense and competence. Whereas the right brain is generally responsible for feelings and emotions, emotional quotient, human skills, relationship orientation, creativity, intuition, artistic pursuits like singing, dancing, sculpting, then leadership, satisfaction-oriented, higher values, and character. In other words, left brain is the chemistry of life and the right brain is the poetry of life. Now, when it is shifted to the teaching profession, the same concept of the model of left brain and right brain, it looks something like this. When we utilize the left, when we teach strictly as per syllabus, these are all the left brain activities. Maintaining timings and discipline, analyzing why a student can't study, data, statistics and students' marks, etc. Announcing the agenda of the class before teaching in a very structured manner like introduction, teaching and summarizing, disciplining the mischievous students if any, distributing the portions throughout the academic time equitably, equally, being firm and strict, writing organizedly on the board, sequential teaching, upgrading our teaching skills, giving clear notes, inculcating scientific temper in teaching. All these aspects emanate from the left brain of a teacher. But this is not enough. If we have to manage the stress, we need to use the right brain. And which are the right brain functions in teaching? Let us have a look at it. Care and concern for the students, empathizing with the students, that means having a lot of patience, smiling, a little bit of fun, creativity in teaching through games, pictures, cartoons, practicals, demos, stories, good relations with students, parents, co-teachers, superiors, managing the negative emotions like anger, professional jealousy, frustrations, developing patience and perseverance, flexibility in teaching methodology, participation of the students in the class itself, feeling proud about the nobility of teaching profession, making the students to share their experiences so that there is some cross learning if required, and developing higher values of life like honesty, integrity, gratitude, respect, patriotism, humility with the students. So if these two can be balanced, and if a teacher can use the left brain when it is needed and the right brain when it is needed, his stress levels and thereby the stress level of the students can be at the lowest level. Okay. Yeah, next. As I told you, the stress can also be explained as the difference between the expectation and the reality. And there are two ways of doing it, which I explained to reduce the stress levels. Yeah, next. Clarity in mind and purity in heart is the surety for success. It is an excellent formula for stress management. If the mind is clear about the thoughts and there are no confusions, there are no lack of clarity, and the heart is pure with positive emotions like love, affection, respect, empathy, sympathy, transparency, honesty, integrity, a lot of stresses can be managed with these two syndromes of clarity in mind and purity in heart. Next. Okay, now at this point of time, next I'll be taking on how to manage our stresses. But I would like to invoke one or two small questions from the participants before I get on to the real management of stress. You can put your questions in the chat box, one or two, so that the session can be made a little more interactive. You can also comment. You can also comment on the session. How is it going? Is it fast, slow, okay? Are there any mid-course corrections which are needed? Feel free.
Good afternoon, delegates. Please, you may give you the raise hand option so that I'll be able to unmute you.
Yeah.
You can interact with the speaker directly.
Yeah, only one or two so that we can proceed further.
We are supposed to get relieved of stress. Don't feel stressed to raise the hand.
Yes, feel free.
Anyone?
Anyone?
How are you feeling attending this FDP for the 2 days on artificial intelligence, something which at least presently I'm learning about? Stressful, not stressed, easy? Anybody from the audience?
No, but the point is if people don't participate, initially for a few minutes, the audience will listen more out of interest on the topic or a little respect to the trainer. But afterwards, they listen more out of sympathy to the trainer. Anyway, I think the trainer himself is enjoying way to get into problem. To ensure that syndrome does not set in, I just invoke one or two questions. Feel free to ask.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
The type of stress during pandemic.
Hello? Yes?
Sir, I have a question here. The type of stress normally people felt during pandemic. Would you share some ideas on that one?
Sure. See, pandemic, the biggest problem of the pandemic was the uncertainty. See, there is what is known as a foreseeable stress. For example, let us say that tomorrow you have to go for an interview or you have to make a world-class presentation, and today you are making preparation. You can imagine that tomorrow 10:30 you have to make a presentation. So in a way, you are getting planned to manage that stress. That will not be that much stressful. But unfortunately, pandemic has taken people by surprise. It has exploded. It has come all of a sudden. And that has created tremendous amount of stress in the people because they were not prepared. Now, what is the problem pandemic has brought in? One is, of course, a lot of fear, especially the first wave, and more importantly, the second wave, that will I contract the COVID, for example, and lot of information we were getting, some of which was contradictory also, and there was no solution in sight in respect of discovering a what I should say vaccination. So it was highly stressful at that time, and it also put people into a lot of financial difficulties because the savings started getting melted out, and a lot of industrialists were finding it very difficult to cope up with the situation because they were not geared up. There were no enough reserves. And it also shattered some of the deep rooted myths which people had. It made, in my opinion, it made people less materialistic and more philosophical and spiritual. We came to know due to pandemic, in my opinion, that matter doesn't matter. Matter means your houses, your wealth, your money, your gadgets, your possessions. But only no matter matters. No matters like peace of mind, relationship with the spouse and children, your emotional stability. So pandemic taught us that matter doesn't matter and only no matter matters. And many of them were not prepared for these things. For example, this word called as mind or mental health was not much used before pandemic. But you see, after the pandemic has come, you see the number of times this word mental health or mind or how to be peaceful. Almost every day you see articles, you see magazines, you see Facebook, anywhere that is being pervasively used. So pandemic has been a very disastrous on the humanity, but it also taught us some lessons, but in a very, very painful way. Now, of course, people are coming to the terms and things are becoming better. And that is one of the major situations, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the fear, psychosis, the depletion of the finances, for example, and being at home, unable to move out. You see, and especially the people who are always outward flowing, always on the move, locked up in home, created a number of physical stress, mental stress, intellectual stress, emotional stress, social stress, and all sorts of stresses. So slowly people started understanding, coming to terms with, and I think things are getting stabilized now. And that is how this I would interpret. In fact, from the medication, people started moving towards meditation. From the capability in profession, people started believing in capability of stress and management. Instead of the rat race in the profession, people started thinking that peace of mind and emotional stability are more important. We came to know the impermanence and the futility of all materialistic things and the need to become more value oriented, more philosophical oriented, and even spiritual oriented. We came to understand that we need to respect the animals, the plants, and we need to believe in an inclusive society, not man exercising his authority over all sorts of things. So I think these were some of the stresses which got generated during the pandemic, and we are trying to overcome them. And in the process, we learned a few lessons also. This is my interpretation of the pandemic stress. Am I clear, sir? Who asked the question?
Yeah, clear, sir. I have one more question right
Please.
back. How
Please.
best we need to take up life post-pandemic? Lessons learned.
Yeah, we need to, number one, have a very clear lifestyle, because we understood that most important thing which increases our immunity power, which bestows peace of mind, is to have a good lifestyle. Now, this lifestyle, I have created a model for that. Let me explain that to you. One, we need to take care of the physical aspect of our personality, which only means we need to take balanced, nutritious food. We need to drink sufficient quantum of water, do physical exercise every day, keep smiling in spite of all the difficulties, have correct postures in sitting or standing or walking, be in sunlight so that you get absorbed with the vitamin D, have regular health checkups, learn to rest and relax, and get a blissful and deep sleep. All these things are pertaining to your body. And many of you agree that some of the people had ignored a lot of these things. Physical exercise were not being done, they were not sleeping properly, and no sunlight, for example, postures were inappropriate. So, if in the post pandemic, any time for that matter, not only post pandemic, we need to take care of these habits from the physical point of view. Sedentary life is one of the worst possible things. Our body is not meant to be in one place, it is meant to move. I always say movement is medicine, sedentary is sickness. MMSS, I call it as. In fact, I am now 72 years old. From the last 60 years, that is when I was about 10 years old boy till today, I get up at 3:45 in the morning every day. And every day 1 to 1.5 hours of little bit walking, little bit of yoga, little bit slow breathing. I definitely do almost every day, minimum 6 days in a week, if not 7 days. Either you use your body or you lose your body. So long as your physical existence, you should do physical exercise. Anything including your body, if it is not used, it becomes useless. The second thing is food. There are 3 types of food: tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. Tamasic foods make you very inert, lack of enthusiasm, sedate, lazy, like toasted food, roasted food, oily foods, bakery products, etc. The rajasic food will make you stimulate your sympathetic part of your nervous system and make you very aggressive, angry, jealous, all sorts of things. Like spices, for example, high level of anything which in moderation is perfectly all right. Sattvic food is that which creates an equanimity in your mind, endurance in your body, like fruits, vegetables, fibers, a little carbohydrates, little proteins. So we need to balance out these things. So I think there's a very great need to take care of the body. The second thing is to develop a good mental ambience by developing a positive attitude, optimism. Very nicely, it is told, it is not only your aptitude, it is your attitude which decides your altitude. We should think positive that yes, everything will go on. This too shall pass off. After all, humanity has seen a number of pandemics, number of epidemics, number of endemics. This is one of. Maybe it was a little more pervasive and a little more uncertain. We should always think very, very positively. And we should develop book reading to enhance our knowledge, our skills, so that we feel ourselves contemporary. We need to play puzzles and riddles so that our neuropeptides, neurodendrites, and the whole lot of synapses get formed in our brain, and our brain will be always alert, agile, vigilant, and ready for action. We need to develop creativity, thinking out of the box, lateral thinking, divergent thinking. And therefore, we need to develop new skills. Avoid criticism on others. Take ownership. And develop a sense of gratitude for the things, for the people who helped us. Introspect ourselves very plainly. Look into yourself. And sometimes in a day, give a mental holiday. Make your mind zero thoughts. No, these are all the activities you need to do to ensure your mental peace, which is very much needed. As I told you many times, it is the mental disturbance which manifests as a physical disorder. The number 3, more important, is the emotional aspects. Spend more time with your family, the quality time with your spouse, children, in-laws, parents. A domestic disharmony can lead to a corporate calamity. There is no point in being an intellectual giant in the profession and an emotional pygmy at home. There is no point in being extremely popular to the world outside and being a stranger to your own people at home. So we need to give family the due importance. And then prayer, an excellent psycho-emotive therapy. Listening to melodious music, which makes your brain to get into alpha state. Looking at nature, its splendor, its grandeur, the colors, the birds, the flowers, the trees, the sky, the moon, the mountains. Developing a sense of appreciation for whatever is good in this life. And having good relationship with friends. And being choosy with our friends, because our friends determine a lot of personality characteristic of ours. And serving humanity. And if possible, being with pets. All these things will take care of your emotional stability. Your emotions will be stable and they will be noble. We will not have negative emotions much like anger, jealousy, greed, lust, aberrations, inferiority complex, fear. And we also need to develop positive hobbies like singing, dancing, reading, so etc. And reduce our dependence on the gadgets like TVs, mobiles. And avoid gossips. Don't talk anything which doesn't pertain to you. So much of trolling, so much of criticism goes on. It is sickening. And don't get into any bad habits like smoking or alcohol or anything else. So this is the entire package. Post-pandemic and even forever, we need to develop a good immune body, a peaceful mind, a stable emotions, a sharpened intellect, and a overall holistic personality. I hope this is clear. Any questions on this?
So it's very clear, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful thoughts, sir.
In fact, what I have done is I have structured, because many times we listen, we don't practice.
Yes.
An ounce of practice is better than tons of theory.
Right.
So what I have done, I have created a chart, and I have been following it from the last 50 years. All these activities I have written down, and every day we need to tick which activities we did, which we did not do, so that there is an accountability for our lifestyles. I'll just show that chart to you. Mr. Naveen, timetable, slide number 8. So you can see here what I have done, sir. You can see date. Actually, there must be 7 columns because it is 1 week per sheet. Physical activities you can see here. Suppose you did some physical activities, walking, a little bit gym, aerobics. On that date, you have to tick it. Did you get enough sleep? Was the sleep very deep sleep? What are the type of food consumed? Suppose you ate a lot of wrong food. Then you have to write not good, NG, under 3A. Suppose you ate too much, for example, which is more than what is needed. Then you have to write not good. Did you get physical rest and relaxation? Suppose it was right, put G. Did you stand under sun at least for 10 minutes in the day? Tick it. Did you at least consume about 8 glasses or about 3 liters of water? Tick it. Like this, I have created an entire stress management and positive lifestyles. Now see the mental activities. These are all coming under physical, connected to body. Next, when you go to the mental intellectual, we need to develop slow breathing and meditation to make our mind very calm. Reading educative books to enhance our knowledge. Action taken to our professional skills. So a lot of new skills are coming even in teaching itself. We need to develop those. We need to reskill, upskill, and multi-skill ourselves. We need to play puzzles, riddles to stimulate our brain. Creative thinking, innovation, positive self-talk, what we talk within ourselves. Introspection at the end of the day, before you go to bed and sleep, just have a flashback of whatever we did during that day. Whom did we help? Whom did we hurt? What did I do wrong? Where did I gossip? What value addition I have done for others? Avoid criticism on others. Develop some hobbies. So these are all coming under the mental intellectual. Then we have the emotional aspects, like prayer, listening to melodious music, watching nature, time spent with spouse and children, number of people who are appreciated. See, I have taken a target. Without appreciating 3 people in a day, I will not take dinner in the night. So what happens now? Because you need to take dinner, you start searching for good things. I'll tell Mr. Sajeev sir that your watch is good. So one is ticked. See, I always say good practices you need to force on yourself. Bad things will come by itself. Good practices are difficult to start, easy to quit. Say tomorrow you can start yoga, difficult to start. But after 1 week you can quit. Bad habits are easy to start but difficult to quit. Suppose alcoholism, very easily you can start off. But it may stay with some people as an addiction. So there is a need to document. There is a need to put it in a format so that we are reminded every day what we need to do. Being cheerful, smiling. I always say instead of worrying and having a wrinkle on your face, why don't you smile and have a dimple on your face? Smile, it increases your face value. Your dress is never complete unless you wear a smile on your face. People tell me, sir, good days are not come. Therefore, I can't smile. I tell the other way, it is not like that. You smile without reason, good days will come automatically. Then the social aspect, like doing social work, helping others, interaction with friends and relatives, attending social events. So when you come to the lifestyle, you can go to the next slide. Anytime you do a job which you are postponing for a long time, you feel extremely happy actually. Your stresses will go off. So did you do any job which you are postponing? Any new skills you learned? What are the quality of TV programs you watched? Were they interesting? Were they useful? Were they educative? Or were they more violence and horrible things? See, it is a garbage in, garbage out, garbage out. Whatever you see and whatever you listen, that is how the thoughts will come out. It all depends on what you're feeding. How did you optimally use mobile phones, social sites, selfies? And finally, did you avoid gossiping? So this is the chart which I have prepared for stress management lifestyles so that there is an accountability and there is a documentation so that they don't skip our notice. Any questions on this? Many people feel I can't do so many things. Actually speaking, we need not do anything more. See here, what I have done is, all that it is needed is a restructuring of your timetable. Not 1 minute extra I am asking. No, not needed. Suppose you avoid over usage of your mobile and you can save 1 hour. That 1 hour can be used for a little physical exercise, little nature watching. It only needs a rearrangement, reorientation, refabrication of your lifestyles. No extra time is needed generally. So this is where I have explained. These are the extra time needed activities. This is where you save and they balance out almost. This is what is very important to manage our stress. Now I invoke further 1 or 2 small questions.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about me. Like you were talking about rescheduling, right, sir? It's about
Yes.
my daughter actually.
Yes, yes.
She reschedules very nicely. Every day she makes a fresh timetable. When it comes to implementation, it is 0 and we have a fight every night.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nothing has been achieved that day.
That is the problem. So there why does it happen? It
Not-
happens with us also. Suddenly you listen to a motivational talk, you get inspired to do a lot of things. How long will it stay? Few days. Then we'll be back to square one. It's because, in my opinion, it happens because we have intellectually understood the concept, but we are not fully convinced about what we need to do. And we are not experientially authenticated. So for that, these type of activities, and you need to be a little harsh on yourself. Suppose you take a stand, 10 minutes if I don't walk, I will not take dinner. And you stand by your commitment. Possibly you will walk at least 5 minutes, you will walk. Because we are too loose on ourselves, too casual about approach. There is no moral fear. All these things will happen. The discipline is very, very important. If you take the word discipline and add all the letters, see, D is English alphabet 4, I in discipline, DISCIPLNE, I is 9. You total it up, it exactly comes to 100. You need to be 100% disciplined in life. So this is what we need to teach children. One, by role modeling ourselves, we need to follow that. Number two, explain to them, if they continue to be like this, callous or casual, what will be the consequence of that? You take the most successful people, one common factor in them are 2 things. One, they are disciplined. Whether it is in lifestyle or maintaining commitments or coming to in time to events or programs and meetings. 2, they constantly read. So we need to develop these activities. That's why I do a lot of programs for school students, college, at least about 100 colleges and students I keep teaching. The importance of discipline, the importance of having proper lifestyle, the significance of studying, for example, developing concentration, memory power enhancement, developing positive values of life, feeling proud to be in our country, whatever. And that's very important. Good. Any other questions? Any other? I just wanted to have a midterm opinion about the session. It is something like in the films they ask in the interval, how was the film? No? some 1 or 2 comments so that I know whether I'm making some value addition. Few comments from some of the participants.
Delegates, please participate and
Yes.
you can raise your hand. I can unmute all of you otherwise. We are not unmuting, sir, because some disturbances might come. We don't want to interrupt the session, that's why.
Sure. But they can put something in the chat box or they can raise and talk.
Yes.
I would like to listen or hear or in the chat box 1 or 2 comments on about the program till now, whatever has happened, because that gives me an idea.
This is a testing for you, sir.
I know. So they will write some of the because without the comments, program will not continue now.
Yes. So we have one from Sonali, who's telling it's an excellent session.
Sure.
Then first half it's going good so far from Dr. Venkatesh.
Nice to hear that. Any other comments?
I think their delegates, just maybe like sir was telling now, we need to mobilize and motivate ourselves. Just one comment here. You can take a moment to do that. We have 3 more days to go with the FDP.
Yes.
The spirit can't be killed.
Participation is very, very important. I'm seeing here, first off is very nice. In the world of variations, how to keep so many things constant. Okay. Good session. Very informative and thought-provoking. I have a question.
Dr. Divakar, can I
Can you ask the question, sir? Delegates be interactive. Okay.
Dr. Divakar, would you like to unmute? Please raise your hand. I'll be able to unmute you.
Yeah.
Anybody,
Please.
any of the delegates?
Make it as interactive as possible. It helps all of us. After 1.5 days, of human AI is working wonderfully. Okay. Let's clear that. Okay.
I think you're able to see that.
Sure. Explain good various types of stress. Yes. Nice. Okay. I think by and large it is going on fine. So it looks I can continue.
Yeah, Manoj, how to inculcate this activity in our BTech students?
Yeah.
From Dr. Divakar here.
From Dr. Divakar. How to inculcate in BTech. One, there are 2 ways of doing it. Whoever does these things to some extent, say he's disciplined, he's studious, and he's having good values, appreciate them. And there is one rule: appreciate in public, criticize in private. Appreciate in the class itself. Of course, without hurting others. So everyone will feel, oh, I would also like to be appreciated. That is one way of doing it. Rewarding, for example. The other way of doing is giving them a chart like this. Like, for example, if I request all of you and force you have to fill up this chart, come what may, at least you will do out of the 25 activities, at least 5-6 you will do. And after about 10 days, you will do 10 activities. So unless you try to measure any activity, see, there is a very good statement. It says, anything which cannot be documented cannot be understood. And anything which cannot be measured cannot be improved. So make a small document like this. What are the characteristics you want the students to develop? On what scale they are right now on a 0 to 10 scale? After 1 month, redo it and find out whether they are improving. So you need to create certain simple, very simplistic documents so that there's an accountability. There's another way of introducing BTech. Then give for example, some case studies. Take some examples of BTech students who have taken the studies seriously, their character seriously, and have reached very high positions in life, making a lot of money in good ways and becoming very popular. Give such examples without, of course, exaggerating or glorifying them. So by these activities of rewarding people who follow, giving them a format to document, giving examples or case studies of people, it is possible that to inculcate certain degree of these activities in the students. How the dynamic teaching and brain dominance are equally important in mentor-mentee program. See, mentor-mentee, unlike the class, mentor-mentee is always a little long drawn. And in the class, you are more predominantly it's a knowledge transfer or skill enhancement. Whereas in a mentor-mentee, it is more of life skills. like how he handles relationship issues, how he has to become more, what I should say, dynamic, etc. So mentor and mentee relationship is a little more far long term as compared to class, because in the class you got a specific objective to do, finish the syllabus and make them examination friendly or examination certain. So mentor mentee will have to get into a different frame of work if you are really mentor. Although a teacher should also be a mentor to a certain extent in the class. Now, what are the clinical measures in stress management? Many of the bodily parameters will get affected. When you get stressed, it is told that your blood pressure increases, your cardiac beats will increase, your pulse rate increases. Sometimes you may have more acidity, for example, flatulence may increase, you feel irritable, you will find those things which were giving you pleasure earlier, today they are not giving you. You will not be able to undergo stress test like treadmill test, etc., which they do in clinical tests. So a lot of bodily parameters, when measured, can indicate whether you are under stress. But the best person to decide whether you are under stress is yourself. It is because the stress threshold level is very individualistic. See, suppose a student fails, two students fail. One boy may get extremely stressed. Other person may not get stressed and he may become more careful and more vigilant and more optimistic. Which only means that which stresses person A need not stress person B. So very clear clinical parameters is not possible in stress. We can very clinically measure your temperature, measure your blood pressure, measure your blood sugar levels. But that is not possible in the case of stress. We have to go only by the manifestations and the subject experiences of the personality. So that is how clinically they are measured. Although there are a lot of research going on, can we measure, for example, if your immunity power goes down, it is said to be you are under stress. If your parasympathetic system is overdrive, using too much, you are under stress. If you cannot peacefully sit in one place, you fidget too many times. These are some manifestations of stress. So like this, there are a lot of physical parameters also which people are attributing to stress. I need to call you for an offline session to manage stress post-pandemic in students. Most welcome. See, in the pandemic time itself, I have conducted about 300 webinars for different colleges, schools, industries, organizations, Rotary clubs, Lions, etc. So please, there is a need for these values to be disseminated. I'll be more pleased to do that. How conflict management is handled in institutions at upper level when subordinates are the sufferers. Fight, flight, and flow. If the institution is having some problem, maybe they are apathetic, or they are not rewarding, or there are too many heads in the top, whatever, the first thing you need to do is fight. Fight is not rebelling against. No. You please talk about it. I always say this world has got into problems not because of the wicked people. It is because of the silence of the good people. So you need to bring it to the notice in a very firm but polite way. Suppose it is not possible, fight. Then you flight. Flight means go to other department, go somewhere else. Suppose that is also not possible, then you flow. Flow means you compromise. Now, when you flow, you can flow with two things. Either you flow with pleasure or you flow with pain. When you are told that fighting is not possible and flighting is not possible, the best thing is to flow, but flow with pleasure. Don't flow with pain. I call this as a technique called 3F plus 1P. Fight, flight, flow. If you have to flow, flow with pleasure. If you flow with pain, the problem is with somebody else, but you are giving a lot of problems to your own body, your own mind. Why are you making your body to suffer, your mind to suffer for none of your faults? So that's what you need to do if that is the situation with anybody, not only institution. With people, with your spouse, with your boss, with your neighbor, with your authority, whatever, or your subordinate. Fight, flight, flow. flow with pleasure. How to manage and overcome the stress in busy academic audits like NAC, etc. Number one, proper planning. Very good prioritization. 3, don't get panicky. 4, simplification processes. 5, delegate with others and get the jobs done. 6, don't get overwhelmed. 7, use a Pareto principle. What is this Pareto principle? 80-20 it is called. 80% of your problems can be solved with 20% of the activities. So find out all the problems, catch the big fish and clear it first. So by properly managing your time, by planning, organizing, systematizing, simplifying, delegating, you can come out of these problems to a great extent, may not be full extent. Temporarily join the start. Are my what I should say, inputs useful? Madam, please ask the
Yes, sir.
participants.
Yes, sir. Very much. We are getting
Good.
positive feedback.
I think a lot of people are asking questions. They have started open up. That's what I want.
Threshold has been crossed, sir. So we have
Yes,
one question that you missed in the beginning from Mr. Sumit Joshi. In the world of variations, how to keep so many things constant?
See, variations are only in superficial things. Our value should be constant. This is a very important aspect. You know, this world has got a good equation of stability and mobility. You cannot be mobile always. Something needs to be stable. So you need to be stable in your values, in your peace of mind, your emotional stability, in your relationship. But over that mobility is possible. You can change your food habits, dress, your interpretations, etc. So always get yourself connected to something which is stable. Then you will not get overwhelmed with the things which are changing. It is. I always give an example of the watch. You know, in the watch, the needle is moving. It is mobility. But imagine that the dial and the numbers also start moving. How will you see the time? Numbers and dial needs to be stable. On a road, the car and the trucks are moving, agreed. But the roads needs to be stable. Imagine the road also starts moving. What will happen? So this mobility for the sake of mobility, change for just the heck of change, is a very bad syndrome. You need to change for better. So don't unnecessarily give your mind and body to too many changes. You need to adapt to changes, I agree. But you should not become obsessive. Obsession to keep on changing. Then you will never have peace of mind. So this is how you need to find out what are those stable factors in the everlasting, ever-changing world, and hook on your mind and your intellect and your emotions to those standard and stable things. Then you will not get that way. For example, body is unstable, but your spirit is stable. For example. So these are the philosophical and spiritual approaches which you need to take to remain stable in the chaotic, ever-changing world and universe. Good. Anything else, ma'am? How to manage unachievable tasks in a short period which create a lot of stress at work. Now, if you have decided unachievable, see, don't mistake me. Many things which people thought unachievable have become achievable today. There is a very nice statement which says, impossible is an opinion, it is not a reality. Sometimes it is a reality. So don't start with a paradigm that is unachievable. It must be achievable. Maybe it takes longer time. It puts in a lot of efforts. You may need a lot of help from others. You may need a change in your attitude or values, whatever. So, number one. Number two, if you are convinced that in 2 months, this is the maximum a human being could do, why are you bothered whether it is achievable or not achievable? That is, see, there is a very beautiful system. It is called process happiness versus destination happiness. You got in 2 months, you have to achieve something. Don't always think of I have to achieve. It creates a lot of stress. But enjoy the process on the journey of achieving. You will not get that much stress. And even if you don't achieve a part of what you would have achieved, you will not feel guilt and you will not feel bad because you have done your best. See, however good program I do, few people among the audience will say program was not effective. Fine, it's okay. Let me take with a pinch of salt. Let me learn from them. So your obsession that I want to complete everything in this rat race, that's what puts a lot of stress. So when an unachievable target is there, number one, take out from your mind it is unachievable. Two, work at the maximum capacity and achieve whatever is possible. And don't feel guilty or don't feel bad about that part which was not achievable because it is just not achievable. Okay. Something, okay, wonderful, awesome session. There is unachievable. Let me take this. Well answered, Sajeev sir. Okay, fine. Fine. Any more questions? Okay. Let me talk a few minutes on yoga before it. How to deal with frustration if the end result is not as desired. What is a better choice? First of all, your passion for end result should go, sir. Result will not justify the means many times. Take your own profession. You say the end result of a student must be he should get more than 90 marks. Agreed. Imagine he gets 90 marks, but very illegal methods. Will you still justify the end result is achieved? By all wrong things, by what immoral, unethical ways? All that I am trying to tell you is end result is only for guidance. It is no authentication, it is no justification for how much efforts you have put in and what is the process you have undergone. So forget about, see, what does our philosophy has taught? Karmanyeva, what do they say? Keep on doing your job with the best possible intentions, highest possible efforts, greatest possible commitment, with totally unflinching dedication, without any ego. Forget the results. Results will come. And if it doesn't come, it will come in another form, in some other day. So this passion for the end result should go off, sir, actually. Whether it is in education or industry or in social life. That is why I always tell in my program at the end, I'll tell, I don't mind if you are an ineffective professional. No problem. I can teach you the skills, but don't become a bad human being. That is a problematic thing. Values are more important than tangible results. So don't get too obsessed with results. What is the better choice? The better choice is to enjoy what you are doing. As I told you about 5 points. Number one, your intention should be very noble. Anything what you do, put a question. Why am I doing this job? Why am I doing this program today? Is it to get more popularity for me? Is it to get more name and fame? Is it to get your appreciation? No. It is to tell to some of my friends something little what I know. If it can add their value and they can get some insights, I am blessed. If that is the intention, you will find everything what you do becomes a yagna. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. The skill in the work is called yoga. So let us come out of this syndrome of end results. Let's enjoy what. That's why please don't tell your students work hard, study hard. Don't say. Study joyfully, study enjoyably, study responsibly. Marks will come. Madam, ask people whether I'm making some sense or no. You have to moderate in between.
You are, sir. Yes. Messages coming. We have a WhatsApp group also. There also people are responding in a positive, happier way.
So this undue tension, undue this, I don't know who taught. Everything is decided by your end result. Who told? For example, there are many certificates, especially in the engineering industry and even pharmaceuticals. They don't check the end product at all. They check the process only. Because they say if the process is good, the product will definitely be good. So please, if for you also, your children, your students, please don't focus exclusively on end results. Yeah, it's very much needed because see, process cannot be measured many times, end result can be measured. That is the only difference. To that extent only we give importance to end result. How you made money is more important than how much you made money. See, these are the good values which we need to give it to the people. Okay, path is also important. Not path is also important. Path is more important. Sumit sir, are you there?
So you're like a teacher now.
Path is also important means as though result is important. Path is no. Path is more important than result. Tell your children like that. See, the people who are sitting here will decide the destiny of this country because each one of you are disseminating knowledge, information, skill, values to your people. If a country has to prosper, only one set of people can do it, is the teachers. I'm convinced beyond doubt. That is why after working in an industry for 20 years, I undertook teaching. In an industry, I was having a very good career, but I thought, no, this is the noblest of professions. The flowers blossoming in front of you, the personality oozing out with enthusiasm, adding value. So there is the responsibility we need to feel with the children, with the students, sorry. Very much needed session. Thank you. And judge you on the basis of just, yeah, I agree. I agree that judgment is done based on that, but that should not be your focus. Because see, if the judgment is not on the end product or the end result, on what can I judge? No, I need some parameter to judge. Agreed. But that does not justify that the means was okay. Agreed. Any other questions? Any other doubts? See, ultimately what is needed, let me tell you. In yoga also what we talk. One, listen to me carefully. I will tell you physical immunity, the most important thing. Your immunity power. Two, mental tranquility, peaceful mind. Three, intellectual clarity, correct decision making. Four, emotional stability, stable emotions without mood swings. Five, enhanced creativity, thinking of new things out of the box. Concentration intensity, ability to instantly concentrate on a particular thing without any distractions. Material prosperity, making a lot of wealth in a good way. Money is very important. And material prosperity is very important. Social empathy, developing a service attitude and vibing with the difficulties of others. Domestic unity, unity with spouse, children, etc. And finally, spiritual identity, realizing our ultimate existence, supra consciousness, and getting aligned to that cosmic will. So your equation should be physical immunity, mental tranquility, intellectual clarity, emotional stability, concentration intensity, enhanced creativity, social empathy, material prosperity, domestic unity, and spiritual identity. That is the menu for your development, stress management, and that's what yoga teaches. Naveen, you can put that slide. Some of you can send the slide also. Mr. Sajeev sir, I will send some of these slides. You can share with the people.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Naveen, put that slide physically. I'll tell you where it is. Go to yoga, yeah. This one, yeah. So you can see this menu, what yoga tells you. Put the whole thing, physical immunity, mental tranquility, memory longevity, concentration intensity, increased creativity, intellectual clarity, emotional stability, social empathy, domestic unity, relaxed prosperity, and spiritual identity. Please take a copy of this and fix in your rooms, walls, in your schools, colleges. That should become the guiding factor for all of you. And that's what yoga is all about. Yoga works on all these things. It makes you physically strong. Mentally, you will be very peaceful. Your memory power will increase. You will be able to concentrate very nicely. Your right brain will get developed and therefore your creative instincts will improve. You will be able to decide very, very correctly, right decisions at the right time from the intellectual point. You will not be given to bad emotions like anger, jealousy, frustration, greed, lust, all nonsense. You will be able to vibe with other difficulties. You will have a wonderful family life. You will be materially also prosperous because many of these things are required for making money and becoming more wealthy. And above all, you will realize your spiritual connotation and spiritual connection and spiritual identity. These are the benefits of yoga. And for that, we do a lot of activities like yogasanas, slow breathing, meditation, withdrawal of senses called pratyahara, yama and niyama, which are moralistic and ethical principles, dharana, which is called concentration, dhyana, which is meditation, samadhi, which is communion. So yoga gives these 8 steps for achieving all these things which I have been talking to. How not to be influenced by toxic people despite being with them in the work area. Dealing them mentally, be with them physically. You have seen a lotus flower and that there is a drop of water. Will the drop of water mingle with the lotus flower? No. You just do like this, it drops off. But is the drop of water away from the lotus flower? No, it is sticking. So we with the fellows, but mentally divorced. Because if you want to avoid all toxic people, you will become a loner in this world. But don't get influenced. See, if you decide not to get influenced, nobody in this world can influence you. So this type of detachment in attachment and attachment in detachment need to be learned. Be with people, but don't get attached with them. That's how you avoid the toxic people. How to get rid of inferiority complex? 1, enhance your knowledge. More knowledgeable you are, less inferior complex you will. 2, walk straight. Don't walk with a hunched back, which will give more inferiority complex. Walk straight, not very arrogant either. 3, raise your voice pitch by about 20%. Inferiority complex peoples talk at a little feeble, low tone. Raise your voice. Number 4, do yogasanas in which the chest will be stretched backwards, by which you will develop as you are ready to face all the challenges. Like Ustrasana, for example, Bhujangasana. These are extremely good for developing the assertiveness or courage. Number 5, ensure that you have a very good lifestyle. Last, very important point, take care of your friends. Very nicely it is told, tell me who are your friends, I will tell you who you are. Your friends will decide what type of personality you are. So don't be in the company of pessimistic, disempowering, horrible, negative, all sorts of nonsense they are talking. Most probably that's what we'll imbibe. Be in the company of pragmatic, optimistic, futuristic, intelligent, ethical, moralistic people. Then you will develop more courage or more right values. So these are the ways in which you can come out of the inferiority complex. Delegates free to connect with sir and share your concerns too. Get clarity. Good. What else? Questions? Shoot questions. Shoot questions. I like questions. Are you getting the right insights, if not solutions for your questions? Madam,
Yeah,
ask the people.
We are getting the right answers.
Good. Shall I, Sajeev sir?
Yes.
I have made a small note
Yes.
on the stress of exclusively teaching community. Do you think it will be useful?
Yes, it will be useful, sir.
Now
Yes.
in put 21. I have made a small note of
Definitely.
what are the problems, stressful situations, or the challenges of teaching people. Very quickly I'll go through because I think time is running out. What are the typical problems which teachers undergo? 21. See, first is standing for a long hours. So what is that you need to do? Practice Sarvangasana, where your leg will go up and head will go down. There will be a better flow of blood to the brain. And there will be a relief to your legs. Before going to bed, keep your feet in cold water. Practice suggestive relaxation to legs. See, I've written a lot of books and made a lot of CDs on stress management, yoga, and this. You can take that and practice those things. Speaking for a long time is another occupational hazard. So what you do? Gargle throat with hot water and salt. Reduce taking cold items. Practice pranava pranayama. It is a combination of akar, ukar, and makar, touching all aspects of your vocal cords. If you do that exercise, your voice quality will be very nice. See, I've been talking like this from last 28 years. Almost 25 to 26 days in a month, I'll conduct programs, morning to evenings, including Sundays. One of the reasons, I'm not talking about myself, is because of these practices. Next. Not at par with latest subjects chapters. See, things are changing, so you need to be very contemporary. Update your subject knowledge constantly by reading, browsing internet, attending seminars. Very nicely it is told, if you want to go back to in the world, you need not walk back now. You stay wherever you are. All others will go in front of you. You will be automatically at the back. So you need to be very updated. What is the latest teaching skills? What is internet doing? How online sessions are conducted? For example, how simulation exercises are done, case studies, role plays, group discussions. Now, younger generation students not respecting the teachers is a very big challenge to the teachers. Number one, simple, don't expect the respect. Consider teaching as your duty and responsibility and be done with that. Because you expect only, as I told you, and they don't respect, the difference is the stress, no. So reduce your expectations. You are doing your job. Be done with that. Understand the immaturity, impulsiveness, and mischief liking of a few younger generation students. That is a characteristic. It is not that we were excellent students when we were young. Please remember. We were all reasonably well behaved because we did not know how to behave like this, and there were controls and checks and balances to control us. So love the younger generation. Don't become apathetic or don't become antagonistic to them. It doesn't help. So let me tell you one thing. You cannot change any person by hate. You can only change by love. Now, go to the next one. Colleagues rising up the position. You know, one teacher joined only 2 years back. He's already a professor or something. I am not. Fine. Don't feel jealous. On the other hand, learn from him. What is that competencies which he has developed? What are the skills which he has developed which I am lacking possibly? Unless it is a bad way of what I would say illegal and immoral, that we don't want in any case. Monotony in teaching profession. Introduce new techniques in teaching. Be creative and innovative. Experiment different ways of teaching. These are very important point. Realize that the subject and you are the same, but students are different every time. So every time you enter into the class, you are seeing a new set of people. So develop that thing. You know, I was talking to some hospital, I think. So one of the staff told me, sir, early in the morning at 9:30, if the patients come, we'll be a lot of enthusiastic. We serve them, we take care of them. But if they come at 5:30, we are also exhausted. We'll become casual. I told madam, what you say is right. For you, that patient may be 520th patient, agreed. But for the patient, that is the first time he's coming to your hospital. Please look from his angle. He has not come 520 times to your hospital. You have seen 520 patients, agreed. But when you look from his angle, that is the first time he has come to your hospital on that day. So you need to have the same enthusiasm, same care, same dedication, same commitment to this man who drops in at 5:30 as much as when he drops at 9:30 in the morning. Same thing happens with the teachers also. Subject you are told 1,000 times, agreed. Everything you know. But the boys are not same, girls are not same. It's a different setting. There is a lot of things which we can learn from students also, especially the present people. They are very well informed. Some of them are very focused. Introduce little humor, little anecdotes, practical exercise if possible, within limits. A good teacher is one who can make a familiar subject to look new and a new subject to look familiar. Any difficult subject you can talk in the day-to-day instances and make it extremely familiar. Anything which they think they are good, you can make it to look extremely new and very, very innovative and very different approach. That is a skill of a teacher. Next. These are all the challenges of teachers which create stress in them and you need to manage them. Next. Don't expect gratitude, not needed. Feel proud of such students. If see, many times what happens, your students outgrow in all aspects as comparative. In money, wealth, position, popularity, fine. It is something to feel proud. It is not to feel bad about me. Now, sometimes we have spare time. Develop reading habits, develop useful hobbies like walking, yoga, gardening, meditation, social service, writing articles, books, music. I've written about 10 books. See, I've trained about 500,000, 5 lakhs of people I've trained. And I talk on about 85 topics in 5 languages, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, English, Hindi. I got about 50 dancers who make dance dramas on educative topics. So you can do any amount of jobs. You should be a mountain of strength, a fountain of energy, and a volcano of enthusiasm. That's what a teacher should be. Next. Now, uneven workload. See, especially in teaching profession, uneven workload. Suddenly corrections will come, suddenly some knack will come, suddenly, and then there will be a little lull. So what you need to do, you need to plan, be proactive. When you have a little spare time, do some preparatory work. See, when you go to a hotel, whether you order for paneer butter masala, paneer matar masala, he will give in 15 minutes. How does he give? Because paneer is ready, the masala is ready, matar is ready. If you order this, he will take, this he will take, this he will take, do some heat it and give it to you. Many of such activities can be done in teaching also. Keep them in semi-finished preparatory work. Synchronize your lifestyle with respect to your workload. Suppose workload is very high, cut down on other activities. Workload is less, increase your other things like reading habits or being with friends usefully. Luring by pair, don't accept any favors from anybody for that matter. From students, favors, no obligation. Have high professional ethics. I always say a corrupt person has got a price. A value-oriented person, a good person has got a value. We need to be value-oriented, not price. Lack of physical activity. Therefore, walk around, stretch during rest hours, do yogasanas, aerobics, walk frequently, climb steps instead of using what I should say, staircase. Like that, you need to sandwich a little activity in your day-to-day. Slow breathing a little bit. Make your exhalation twice the time as inhalation. Suppose you have to walk from your place to your principal's place. It takes 10 minutes. For 3 steps you inhale, for 6 steps you exhale. That itself becomes slow breathing techniques. So like that, you need to sandwich physical exercise and breathing techniques into your day-to-day work. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We have another 2 minutes time, sir. We have few questions also in line.
Please,
to close the session.
Yeah, this is the last slide. Naveen, put the last slide. Yes, a teacher will never become obsolete if he updates himself. This is the profession where as age progresses, your value increases, and there is going to be everlasting demand for good teachers. So these are the stress-inducing in a teaching profession. Good. So with this, I am almost coming to a close. Unless you have any questions, any opinions, please feel free. Any thoughts?
So we have one question which is there in the chat box.
Yeah.
How to enhance team spirit?
Yeah. One is reduce the ego in us. Look things from others' point of reference. Empathize with them. Don't feel bad if somebody opposes your version. Maybe there is a great learning. In fact, in our life, we have learned more from people who oppose us, not with people who agree with us. Be clear about the end point that we are all working toward the same objective. Therefore, people can have different opinions, but the objective is same. It is not necessary that everyone should think alike. I tell in my programs, if everyone think alike, it means nobody thinks. Respect the different opinion from others. Don't get into jealousy, professional jealousy. Don't have groupism, either on language or on community or on religion or on the place of your native place, etc. Work towards collective working. Each person is bestowed with different types of capabilities. Some are good in analytical skills, some are good in administration, third person in accounting, fourth person in creativity, fifth person presentations. Let us synergize all this and produce a wonderful end product. Maybe a syllabus formation or a courseware or an event in the college. So by developing all this, by respecting others' opinion, being on the dot for the objective, liking the deviations, the variations from people, learning from others, not feeling jealous, not outbursting on people, controlling your emotions like anger, you see, developing helping attitude, synergizing the various skills, you can develop your team spirit. Fine. Any other thing?
We don't have much questions. If anything is
Sure.
there, connect my WhatsApp, sir. We would like to
Yeah.
close this session, sir.
Sure.
Right.
So,
Sir, would you like to close the stress management session with a last word?
yeah. So basically, the main point is whatever I showed the slides to you, you should become a patana in your eyes. Whatever words I told you should become a shravana in your ears. This visual patana and the auditory shravana should get into your mind, called as manana. You should think that you should send it to your intellect, where you do some chintana, and that you should put into practice, which is called chetana, till it becomes a part of your life called jiva. So I think let us put into practice